Welcome in, team, and today we've got a green workout and we're shifting to something slightly different. It's not a bodyweight workout today. I'm actually going to be showing you how to use a kettlebell. Reason being is that I had some viewers ping me and they said, Jeff, I own a kettlebell. I've got some friends that are buying kettlebells. Can you give us a tutorial video on what we can do to learn how to use this effectively during our workouts? So this is something that sometimes people buy them because you see them on social media, you see them in gyms and whatnot, and you just don't know what to do. They end up becoming a bit of a piece of furniture, don't they? If you don't know what to do with them, you'll just leave it in the corner, use it as a doorstop. But these are probably one of the more versatile pieces of equipment that I think every home gym should have. So today's green, it's a beginner level workout. If you have used a kettlebell in the past and you're pretty competent with it, you can actually skip to the blues or the purple workouts. Otherwise, stick around. I'm gonna talk you through the movements first, talk you through the form, talk you through technique, and then we'll get straight into the workout. If you wanna skip that, get into the workout, check the description below. There's a little link for you there. So the first movement in today's workout is the deadlift. What we're gonna do with the kettlebell is actually very, very similar to say a dumbbell deadlift or a barbell deadlift. I'm gonna assume position over the bell like this. I'm gonna make sure the handle is going left to right, and the actual handle itself is drawing a line that is over the middle of my feet. That's very important because I don't want it too far in front, don't want it too far behind. We're not swinging the kettlebell, we're actually gonna be lifting it off of the ground. So with a deadlift, I want you to make sure that your shins remain vertical. Motorbikes, your shins remain vertical, your knees stay as far back as possible, and we're hinging from the hips, okay? So as we hinge from the hips, pushing the butt back, sitting down on an invisible chair there, I wanna then bring my shoulder blades back by engaging my lats, grasping the bell, and then using my hamstrings and my glutes to thrust my hips forward as I stand up, then back down on the floor. Thrust, and down. So you see my shoulder blades being held back. I'm standing nice and tall, full hip extension at the top, and the bell's path is straight down. There you go, up and down. Question from chat, can you dumbbell with this? You can, Checkman. Actually, I thought you were calling me a silly name by using the word dumbbell. You're not, you can use a dumbbell for this one. But this workout in particular is for kettlebells. So again, grasping the bell, standing up, full hip extension, and down. There's me from the side there. So you can see my shins are remaining vertical, hip hinge, straight back, shoulder blades back, lats engaged, straight up and down. Sweet. That's the deadlift. After the deadlift, we're doing what we call a regressed clean. Now this is what I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about, okay? So a clean, in general, this is what a full kettlebell clean looks like. From the floor, swinging up, catching at the top here. So this is the clean. But in order to learn how to do this, you can see there's a couple of things that can go wrong. If you're doing a clean like this, the first thing that usually happens is that people will smack their forearms with the bell. So there's a couple of things you need to remember. With a clean, we're gonna end up with our forearms vertical, and we're gonna end up with our fists and knuckles like so, not like this, okay? This is very, very important. This is one of the notes that I realized I'd skipped the first time I went through this workout, okay? So you see how I caught it like that, with no noise, with no smacking. I do not want to be catching it like this, okay? That puts your wrist into a pretty compromised position. You can lead to injuries, in particular of the forearm as your bell swings and hits your forearm there. So, very important, forearm vertical, wrist in a straight line. The way that we learn how to do the clean is by regressing it. So if I'm gonna use my right hand to bring it up to the right shoulder, that grasps the bell, okay? The left hand is gonna go on the outside. And what I'm gonna do, as I lift this up with two hands, you see my right hand the right forearm is vertical, right wrist is straight. The left hand is simply a guide. It's a guide and it's a little bit of assistance in order to bring that bell up. Now, a couple of things. You see that the bell actually twists and rotates as I bring it up. We're not flinging the bell over the top, because you see what happens there, it hits my forearm. That's bad, we're not doing that. We're actually gonna bring the bell up, bend at the elbow, bend at the elbow using that sort of a motion, it's not swinging in front of us, and the bell is in an almost vertical path, okay? So, holding on, up. That is the regressed clean. Now it's called a clean because the actual landing of it up in this racked position, that's called the rack position, should land nice and cleanly, okay? So other side, what you're gonna be doing, the handle is forward and backwards, left hand grabbing, right hand over the top. We're then gonna stand up using the hip drive, using the rotation of the bell. There we go. So you see my left forearm is vertical. The wrist is pointed straight up. Another thing to note here as well, have a look at how it's sitting in my hand. It's a diagonally down. It's not pressed up into the middle of my palm like that. It's actually down like that. So this part, the bell is almost touching that bone on my wrist, okay? So lots and lots of things to learn, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to go back over this beginner kettlebell, because we're on the second movement, which is the regressed clean. I think I've spoken about 4 or 5 different cues you need to be remembering. Forward and backward, right hand. Kettlebell o'clock, yeah, how you going? So the left hand on the top, we're gonna lift it up using the hip drive, spin the wrist, I'll spin the bell, so then our forearm just shoots straight forward. And again, you see the angle at which I'm holding this, it's a downwards angle with the handle there. It's not straight up and across like that, okay? So this one's gonna take practice, but this is a really, really good one to practice with because it's a low risk movement, low impact movement. So right hand side looks like that. Left hand side looks like this. My left is a little bit more stodgy than my right. I want to try and aim for that vertical forearm with that one. Cool. So after the cleans, we're going to shake that off. We're going to take a 30-second rest. We're going to get what we call figure eights. So a figure eight is nice wide legs with this one. Oh, it gets a bit slippery. Yeah, that's right, mouse. So nice wide legs, because what we're going to be doing is passing the bell through as a figure eight. The thing to note about this, I don't want you squatting down in order to clear your legs. I want you to be thinking about the muscles we use for the deadlift. So it's a hip hinge, okay? This is what it looks like. You're going from front to back, around the body, front to back. So you see, I'm hinging at the hips in order to bring the bell through my legs. I'm using the glutes. I get it now, gold. So I'm using my glutes and my hamstrings to thrust my hips forward and stand up, which brings it out to the side. From the side, this is what it looks like, okay? Hinging at the hips. I'm not squatting. I want to work on using glute and hamstring drive in order to press my hips forward and back. Cool. So this movement, the reason I've got this as part of the beginner, this movement is going to teach you some strength to pass the kettlebell from one hand to the other. It's going to teach you how to get confident with actually catching the bell in one hand without you looking at it, because you're catching it behind you, aren't you? Like this. Whoop. So, yeah. So, I actually should touch on this before we move on to the next movement, because we are going to be doing some overhead work with the bells. You want to be picking a kettlebell that is light enough for you to do all of these movements without struggling. This is a beginner one. We don't want to be punishing ourselves. We don't want to be ending up, sore and dropping the bell because we're not strong enough to hold it for the reps. We want to be making sure that we've got enough resistance. So this guy I grabbed, because this is one that I learned on, a 6 kilo. So 6 kilos is a good one to start with, 8 kilo, 10 kilo. And for me today, the 10 kilo is going to provide more than enough resistance for me to get the technical skills that I need to get through this workout and progress a little bit. Yeah. You wouldn't want to screw that movement up? Yeah. So that's why you need to be focusing on that deadlift form, on that pushing back, getting your body down low enough in the deadlift in order to swing it through, thrust forward, swing through, thrust forward. So when there's a little bit of risk, a little bit of skin in the game, you're more likely to get better results out of it, mouse. Yeah. So after the figure eights, we're gonna do what we call a racked lunge. So the reason I taught you the regress clean first is so that we can get the bell up into the rack position. we're then gonna do lunges. So if we're gonna do unilateral movements, we're gonna work on both sides. Right hand side first, twisting the bell so that it's forward back, the handle, grabbing with the right hand, left hand over the top. We're gonna clean that up. There we go. So now that we're cleaned here, I'm gonna remove my left hand. And you see, this is what we call the rack position. Because if the bell is light enough and you've got the strength, you can actually just walk around with the bell here. It's crooked. If my forearm's vertical, the bell is actually resting on the outside of my bicep there. And it's hugged in nice and close to my body. I can just walk around, which by the way, is a fantastic movement, just walking around with a bell. So now that we've got it racked in the right hand, we're gonna do alternating front lunges. So feet on railway tracks, we're gonna step forward, 90 degrees in each leg, and then using a lot of power from this front leg, bringing it back up to the top here. Left leg, and then up. So now maintaining this vertical forearm, maintaining a nice tight grip on the bell, using the bicep to pull it in nice and close to your body. That's racked lunges on the right hand side. Down, we're now gonna go onto the left hand side. So again, regress clean, bring that up. Have the forearm nice and vertical, bicep pulling it in close to your body. Same deal, just lunges on the other side here. Cool. When you're dropping it as well, twist and down. Good. After our rack lunges, we're gonna do overhead presses. So again, in order to get into the starting spot for the overhead press, we're gonna use that regress clean to bring it up to the rack position. Here we go, right hand down, left hand over the top, bring it up, twist, catch. We're now racked from here with our vertical forearm, bicep bringing the bell in nice and close. We're gonna press up overhead, spinning it so that our palm is now facing forward, and then back down into the racked position. Straight up overhead and down. So you see, if I actually drop to my knees and I'm on the camera, have a look at the path and the rotation of the bell here. My forearm's vertical, it's resting on the bicep, straight up and down. So I'm rotating it so that the weight actually spins to the back of the body. Press up and down. Drop from there. So again, we can probably do it from the knees here. Vertical forearm, up and down. So like I said, my left hand is a little bit more janky than my right, but this gives me a great opportunity to actually work on it. There we go, that's better, isn't it? Up and down. So those, my friends, are the overhead presses. Finally, the last movement of this workout is the floor press. So instead of standing up straight and pressing up overhead, we're actually gonna go grab our mats. You don't need a mat, you can actually just work from the floor. I'm gonna grab a mat, a little bit more comfy. And from the ground here, there's no real elegant way to set this one up. We're just gonna sit on the floor. We're gonna grab our kettlebell, laying back with the kettlebell, popping our hands in, and same rules apply, okay? You've got the straight forearm to knuckles. It's gonna come down from the side and then press up. Down to the side and press up. So this is very similar to a dumbbell bench press, except we're laying on the floor. You can have your feet up if you want, or you can have your feet down. But either way, you're gonna be working the core to maintain this anti-rotation because you're working on one side. To swap and change, flick it over. Again, straight line from the knuckles to the forearm down. Bring it down to the side, press it up. Try and keep the forearms vertical to the ground, and don't let the triceps press the floor. Don't let them touch the floor. Just hover above the floor and then push up, okay? So it's a shorter range of motion than you get from a bench press because you're not able to bring your elbows into the negative, but that's not really consequential. In the upcoming workouts we do with kettlebells, we're gonna work more on that. So you'll have to tune in in the next few days to see those ones. So they're the movements, team. I took a long time to explain them, but I think it's probably worth it. Since a kettlebell can be dangerous, it can be a little bit of a cumbersome and strange movement here. Put the watch in cardio or strength. So what I would say, actually, that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. If you can, I would probably take your watch off. So normally I'm wearing a watch like this. The reason I'm not wearing the watch today And if you don't have a heart rate strap, this might unfortunately hinder your watch's ability to take your heart rate. The reason I don't have the watch on is because when we're learning cleans, like this, if you've got a watch on and you don't have very good form, you can see here what's gonna happen. The bell might actually slam into the watch. And so I don't want anyone damaging their watches, but even more importantly, I don't want people damaging their wrists because they have a big old thing on here, crunching that. So think about that. You may have to forego the heart rate monitoring if you don't have a separate strap. But look, I'd much rather you get some skills. Mine is off because you're not here to break it, 100%, Martha Stewart. So if you do have a heart rate strap which is attached to your watch, I would be putting it into cardio, Martha Stewart. And the reason for that is that strength-based workouts, especially on the Garmin ones, they actually use accelerometers inside the watch itself to measure how many reps you're doing. So if you've got a strength-based workout, you can actually do bench presses and then have a look at your watch and it'll say, oh, you've done 10 bench press. And you're like, how does it figure this out? I still don't know how it figures that out, what you're doing. You can do deadlifts and it'll go, oh, you've done 3 deadlifts. What? I can't, how? How do you know this? How? So put it into cardio mode is a good point. We're gonna kick this off. Let's go. I'm gonna move this out of the way. We've got a 30-minute kettlebell workout. Goth Martha Stewart, if you're doing this alongside me, let me know in chat how you go. If you're watching on the YouTube video, pop any comments below if you've got questions about things, okay? Yeah, see how I go. It might have a gyro, I think so, Mouse. Look, there's gonna be some sort of technical voodoo going on there. So, all right, 20 seconds team, we're gonna start off with this deadlift. Let's go. Second workout, let's go. So you don't have to put a lot of intensity into this one, Martha Stewart. But what I would like you to do is think about the technical side of this, Martha Stewart. The more comfortable you feel with the technical and the form, the more you can speed this up. And then later on in life, like maybe a couple of weeks' time, you can start to add some real intensity to these movements. Here we go. So 10 kilo deadlifts for me. You can see that I'm focusing on the form. I want to keep my feet flat on the floor. I'm going to claw the feet with my toes, pressing up with the glutes and the hamstring, hinging at the hips, trying to keep my shins vertical. A big, powerful rise and a hip thrust, and then a nice, controlled lowering to the floor. Good. So you can see that one really, really easy way to increase the intensity of that is to grab a heavier dumbbell. So once you feel like you've got really, really nice reps, nice form with that, you can grab something heavier. But again, for this first workout, just try it with a 10, with an 8, with a 6, whatever you've got on hand that you can lift, okay? So now we're doing our regressed cleans right-hand side. I'm gonna spin that bell 90 degrees. So the handle's facing forwards and backwards. Right hand on the bell, left hand on top. I'm gonna use my hip thrust, bring it up and catch it there, okay? Down, up and down. So you see the power that I've got with it here so that I can drive my elbow up underneath. There we go. It's a vertical bell path. It's going straight from the floor here, up, and then driving the elbow up underneath. From the floor, or from the side. Down. Shake it off, other side. Now this for me, the left-hand side, needs a lot of work. The left-hand side, this is as much for me as it is for you out there on the internet land. I'm gonna practice on the power and then driving the elbow underneath with the slight rotation of the bell there as well. Okay, 7 more seconds. Let's do this one. Left hand on the bell, right hand underneath. See that? It bounced. I don't want it bouncing. There we go. Awesome. If you feel it on your forearms, just reassess yourself, shake it out. I'm gonna do one more. That last one felt the best. Good. Awesome. So you should actually feel that in the glutes. You should feel like the hamstrings and the glutes are working pretty hard in order to hinge your hips and bring that up, all right? Depending on how heavy the bell is, You start to feel it in your shoulders as well, because there's a lot of work going on in the upper body there. All right, so figure eights. Now, figure eights, again, hips, glutes, posterior chain. I want you to be doing a deadlift every time you pass it under your legs. So start off in one hand. You see here, I'm holding half of the handle because I like to catch it on the other side there. So just slow it down if you need to. Make sure you haven't got anything fragile or breakable around you, obviously. Because on top of the glutes and the hamstrings working here, there's also your grip strength, there's some coordination, there's some lateral shoulder strength here too, because you're passing it, you're doing this sort of motion with your arms. You're going out and across. Shoulder stability, very, very important too. Let's get these racked lunges in, 20 seconds. So you remember, in order to rack, we're gonna do one of those cleans, and we're gonna regress the clean. So bell forward and backwards with the handle. Grasping with the right, left hand is the guide, the stabilizer. Clean up, starting here. And remember how we're holding it. We're gonna lunge now. So we're gonna alternate the lunges, both legs, with the bell cleaned. So what we're doing, essentially, we're progressing the technical difficulty of our lunges, not only because we're adding weight to them, but because we're adding an asymmetrical loading. And what that means is that our body's gonna have to fight a little bit more in order to maintain stability. And that, my friends, is generally the aim of the game. Fit for purpose, a lot of the time what I wanna be talking about is how we become a little bit more stronger at just general life things. If you do have specific goals, 100% I can work with them too. But I think the general population can really, really benefit from working on things that are gonna make their everyday life a lot more simple. Okay, here we go. The left hand, I'm gonna rack this up. And then from the left, fixing how that's sitting, because I said my left is really, really bad. There we go. Now, important note with this one, I'm gonna change direction so you can see my legs. 90 degrees in each leg. That knee just kisses the floor. It doesn't slam into the floor, just lightly touches it. And up. Up, let's go. Nice. And then dropping that down. So the rotation as we let the clean down, because the clean is two parts to that movement. It's an up and a down. We're doing the up at the beginning, down at the bottom. Nice. Okay, shoulder press. Again, the clean. I don't think I put enough emphasis on cleaning last time I did this workout. I'm putting a lot on it now because it's actually the start of many, many movements. So here we go, right hand, grasping, left hand is the guide. I'm gonna regress clean up. From here, vertical forearm, pressing up above the head. And you can see that slight rotation of the bell so that it doesn't hit at the back of our heads as we bring it down, and we end up in that nice, secure rack position as well. My left arm is basically doing whatever I need to hold stability, okay? If you need to hold it out here, fantastic. Depending on how heavy the bell is compared to your full body weight, you might need to hold the hand somewhere different. And down, and then regressing, putting down that clean. How are we all feeling? How are you going, Martha Stewart? Are your shoulders feeling it yet? With those overhead presses, it's definitely a delt movement there with some extra muscles in there as well. There's one hell of a knot in your left quad and now hammy. Ooh, get into it. Yeah. All right, let's get these left shoulder presses in. So I'm trying to keep a nice vertical forearm. It's hard, isn't it? I'm just trying to think about my left-hand side. I'm quite adept with the right-hand side, but the left, a little bit iffier. Down, okay. Floor presses. You wanna go grab your mat now. The lunges can prove to be a little bit difficult, can't they? When you've got a knot in the legs. Do you generally find that side, Martha Stewart? Or does it, is it both sides when you do get the DOMs there or the knots? Because that could be indicative of something going on in terms of body balance. Okay, we're gonna lay back, right hand side. We're gonna hold the bell in that nice stable position with the vertical forearm, laying on our foot on the back, press up above your head, and then down just before the tricep touches the floor. I'm gonna bring my feet up actually. Big deep breath at the bottom, brace the core, press up above. So it goes without saying that this movement here is gonna help build up the muscles required for a push-up or a bench press. But on top of it, because it is a single weight on an unbalanced body, it's gonna teach you some stability. And stability, again, super important for all things. Here we go, laying back on the left-hand side now. I'm just gonna get that bell into the safe position. Feet up, we've got 3 seconds. Vertical shin, vertical forearm, sorry. Press up above the face. Nice tight grip on the bell. Remember the straight line from the forearms through to the knuckles there. And you can see again why I'm not wearing my watch, because the bell is resting just about where my watch would be. And I don't feel great about having a big metal object rubbing on the face of my watch. We put a lot of investment into this sort of tech, so look after it. There we go, now we have a minute's rest. Next shoulder press, round touch on glute engagement, because that's 90% of it. Yeah, roger that, Muckalito. I did skip that completely then, didn't I? What Muckalito's talking about is with the shoulder press, and I kind of just do it without thinking about it. When you're standing in a shoulder press, it's slightly different. If I was sitting on the bench here and just pressing the weight above my head, what's happening is the bench is taking a lot of the stability. When you're standing up and pressing overhead, yes, there's a lot of shoulder action here, but like what Muckalito is saying, 90% of it is me building a really strong core here. Squeezing the glutes, squeezing the quads, having a really strong base in which I can actually just press up from there. So lots and lots of pressing. There's so many little kitty things. Okay, deadlifts, let's go. Toasty, how are you, mate? Thanks for the resub. Can I get some beast in chat, please, for Toasty? 33 bloody months. Okay, deadlifts. Pushing the butt back, vertical shins, squeezing the butt and the hips and the butt and the hamstrings in order to press forward. Nice. Toasty, how you going, mate? Happy New Year. So, if you're watching on YouTube, it probably isn't New Year's Day, but we are recording this on the 2nd of January, 2023. Yeah, Trombonus, welcome in. We're doing a repeat of last week's beginner workout because I think this time I wanted to cover a few more of the technical aspects of the beginner kettlebell stuff, especially with the regressed cleans here. So if you are just catching us now, you might want to check out when the YouTube video goes up. We're going to spin the bell so that the handle is facing forward backwards. Right hand down, left hand on top of it, and we're going to pull it up, get that right forearm vertical, and then down. So you see how the left forearm is actually out to the side. This is just supporting the hand. Most of the work should be happening with the right hand, the right arm, and the right side of the body. But the left is here to help guide us while we're regressing and while we're learning. Good. So the left hand side next. We're gonna have the left hand on the bottom, right hand on top guiding. We're gonna swing it up with our hips and our glutes, bend at the elbow, use a little bit of bicep just to fling it in the right direction, but switching around, ending up with that forearm vertical. I probably shouldn't have saved the word bicep because you don't actually want to be using bicep when you're doing a clean, but that's what's going to be part of one of the stabilizing muscles there. Okay, here we go. So using the hip thrust and the glutes in order to bring that up. We're catching it driving that elbow up underneath. I want that to be more vertical, like that. That's a bit better. So you can see, again, more seasoned kettlebell people will probably come and go, oh, Jeff, that doesn't look great. I agree, my left hand could do a bit of work. But that's what we're doing now, isn't it? We're practicing. Figure eight. We're gonna pop back, standing over the bell, flipping it around. Now it's gonna be passing from hand to hand. So when you do catch it, you kind of wanna have enough space on the handle there that you can fit a whole hand onto it. So here we go. We're doing the deadlift movement. We're actually using our hips and our hamstrings to drive ourselves forward as we're pulling the bell in front of our bodies. So it's passing in between the legs, in between the legs. Now I want you to remember this, I want you to think about this. We're actually pushing the bell back behind our bodies. This is a precursor movement to the full kettlebell swing. You'll notice here that in today's workout, it's a beginner body weight, or it's a beginner kettlebell workout. I have yet to actually show you the probably the most well-known kettlebell movement, and that's the kettlebell swing. We're not doing that today, we're gonna do that tomorrow. So the movement that you're doing in order to do this figure eight is very much a precursor to the swing, okay? Rack lunges right. Let's get ourselves in position. Let's clean it up. All right. And then lunge. So big deep breaths. Stability in your core. Being able to step forward and then power yourself back up. Forward, back up. Here we go. Forward, bring that back up. Standing tall, nice and strong. One more rep. Good. Hand on, and we're gonna rotate it down, let it down. Nice. Next one's coming up. Trombonist, how are you going, mate? Happy New Year. I hope you had a safe and festive celebration. Here we go. That's a bit more comfy. Good, here we go. Let's go. Using the bicep to hold that kettlebell in nice and close to your body. I'm trying to focus a lot on my left arm rack position here. Good. Nice. All right, shoulder presses, right hand side. Again, we're doing that clean to bring it to the rack position. And from the rack position, pressing up overhead. But this time we're gonna talk a little bit more, aren't we, Marcolito, about the glutes, okay? When you're in this rack position, squeeze the glutes, really press the hips forward, build a nice solid tree trunk or two tree trunks that are holding your body into the floor. Here we go. And then from that, pressing up. You see how having the really strong core, strong braced core enables me to put all of that effort into the upper body motion. So the butt, squeezing the butt, you'll feel it more when you start playing with big, heavy bells. When you start playing with your 16, your 20s, your 30 kilogram bells, pressing that up overhead, if you have a sloppy core, sloppy torso, it all just builds a really, really shoddy foundation, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, good question, Trombonist. Yeah, 100%. The considerations for the weight, for selecting the weight for this workout. So I'm using the 10 kilogram. I have addressed this, but I don't mind addressing it again, Trombonist. I'm using a 10 kilogram weight here. Now that's because it's the lightest one I own, and I think it's good to show people that it never hurts to actually use a lighter weight whenever we're doing these workouts here. being very careful to, there we go, nice. Good. So the weight that I would be selecting trombonist would be, you can actually just do this one, Rice Aroni. 22 pounds. 22 pounds in imperial units. You'd want a weight that you can press up overhead. This movement here is gonna be the best determinant of how much weight you use for this workout. So floor presses, here we go, get the mats. Put the mat down. Because that's the number one movement that is going to be indicative of how much you can safely press. All of the other movements, if you've got a weight that you can safely press overhead, all of the other movements are gonna be fine, okay? So this one here, again, if I were using a weight that I couldn't press overhead, I would not be comfortable in holding a weight above my face like this and safely lowering it. So it is gonna be a little bit of trial and error, trombonist, and that's the unfortunate side of things. I don't know if there's any, I'm happy to stand corrected on this, or if Makalito or someone else knows of a really good way of selecting a weight. But for me, if you feel comfortable pressing it overhead while standing, that's a good weight to do this workout with. Okay, here we go. So elbow out to the side, because what I want to be using is a little bit of pec. I want to be using the tricep. You should be able to, with the other hand, just feel on the chest there. You should be able to feel those chest fibers start to engage as you press that bell up towards the ceiling. And you'll definitely feel it on the outside of the arm there. If you were to grab that there, tricep and pec mainly. There's going to be some shoulder working too. At the lower range, you'll feel it. There we go. Overhead is the test. It's the hardest movement in terms of strength and stability too. And like you said there, Makalito, the shoulders are only as strong as what your foundation can hold. And if you've got a poor foundation in terms of glute stability, leg stability, hip stability, then work on that. Make sure you're working on that first. You feeling good, Martha Stewart? So what I'm gonna do, Martha Stewart, yes, this is a beginner one, but I'm gonna grab a slightly heavier bell. So now you can see what it looks like when there's a little bit more weight to this. When there's a little bit more loading, you can see how I'm trying to still translate the technique to it. But sometimes with extra weight, it can help you to push yourself into the more correct positions. It's a little bit less forgiving. So here we go, deadlifts. One more round, team. One more round. I'm standing over the bell. The handle is going over the middle of my feet here, much like a barbell deadlift. I'm gonna try and rotate my elbows forward, engaging those lats, and then glutes and hamstrings to drive through the whole foot. I do hear a lot of people say, oh yeah, press through the heels, press through the heels. That does ignore the fact that your toes and the whole foot should actually be driving the full force through the floor. And you want to be wearing shoes that allow you to splay your toes, give you some good monkey toes there. That's why I love these shoes. They've got a nice wide toe box. They let me actually spread my toes like that, get a good grasp on the floor to push through, good stability. That's why I'd also say don't wear running shoes while deadlifting, because two reasons. They're squishy on the bottom. Same with kettlebell. If you're doing kettlebell work, take your joggers off, take running shoes off. I probably wouldn't say bare feet as a beginner. You do want some protection if you accidentally drop the bell. So these sorts of cross trainers are gonna be the best. Regressed cleans, let's go. Yes, Martha Stewart. Okay, here we go. Regressed cleans with a heavier bell. There we go. This is not forgiving at all for me. Good. Definitely a lot more work in this right hand being done. Awesome. Splay and scrunch, full weight displacement on the toes, 100%, 100%. These are the things that I look for in my clients. These are the things you should be looking at in me. And you go, hey Jeff, I feel like maybe Are you forgetting this cue? Thank you, chat. So I'm not gonna get all iffy about if someone were to bring something up and I'm not doing it right. We're all here to learn. Okay, left hand, this one, I'm gonna be focusing a little bit more on. Let's go. That feels better. See, for me, if I've got more weight in the left hand, it forces me to be a little bit more technical on that. That feels better. Yeah, good. Better. I find that with deadlifts. If I'm teaching someone a deadlift with a broom handle, you'll be like a little bit off balance, sometimes you fall backwards, but as soon as you grab a 20, 30 kilo bar, then you're able to work a bit better on the form because there's a weight pulling you in the direction the gravity would be pulling you in. Okay, figure eights. And you see now, I've increased the weight, my heart rate's rising. I'm in the green zone here. Here we go. Some good space around me in case I drop this. We're pushing the butt back. We're using the hamstrings and the glutes. Nice wide feet so that I've got some room to get the bell in between my legs. But you see, if you've got a keen eye about you, you'll actually see that this movement now is pretty close to just a kettlebell swing, isn't it? That's what I want you to hopefully feel from this. We're working now, see this? It's like a kettlebell swing, although there are no swings in today's workout. That's for tomorrow. Well done. So racked lunges now, popping that bell in the middle. And again, we're not going crazy, we're not going super hardcore, but I'm in the green fat burning zone. It's exactly it, isn't it, Michaelito? The classic good morning with a swinging weight. And that's why the kettlebell is just, it's such a good piece of equipment to own, isn't it? Okay, let's get that racked. We're in the racked weight. Bring it in nice and close to the body, and then lunging. Hello Spice Town. There's some yellow spice on this one now. It's heavier. So the shoulder's working. The back muscles, have a look at my back muscles, how I'm pulling it back to keep the posture to stand upright. Nice. Dropping this racked clean down. Left hand, we're gonna perform a clean, a regressed, stabilized clean to bring it up close to the body and then get some more lunges in. How are you going with the lunges, Martha Stewart? They're one of the types of movements which are, again, lunges. Take a little bit to get your head around, especially if you're not used to balancing. We spend so much of our time either sitting or standing up straight that doing the big deep lunge can sometimes be a little bit tricky for people. Here we go. Hammies are, yeah. Hey, Dual Links Alpha, how you going, mate? So we're working on our beginner kettlebell workout today. I'm trying to focus a lot on form, and I think you'll enjoy this one, Dual Links Alpha. You're a physiotherapist. I'm a huge fan of asymmetrically loaded balancing movements. Yeah. If you're asymmetrically loaded, you're gonna challenge your central nervous system, you're gonna challenge your body under some resistance. Putting it all together is just, mwah, chef's kiss. Okay, shoulder press right. You're doing wonderful, you're doing splendid, it's fantastic. Okay, we need to do this regressed clean, using two hands, remember? Right hand down, left hand on top to guide it. Now that we're in this position, squeezing the butt, bracing the core, single hand, press up overhead. Dropping it back down to the rack position. So it's resting on that, on the side of the bicep there. Remember that rotation, so that it doesn't smack you in the head. Look at my shoulders. Lots of stabilization required there. That's a good weight. I would probably not do too many reps myself as Jeff with the green one overhead. I could probably manage a couple, but yeah. Exactly, Dual Links Alpha. And I've said this before as well. As we get older in life, one of the biggest risks is not breaking your back when doing a deadlift. It's just losing your balance, stepping off the front porch, falling over and breaking your hip. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're in a position where later in life, you've got enough strength left is my kryptonite. So that you can fight against asymmetrical loading. I think it's my left wrist, to be honest. My left wrist strengthening, forearm strengthening. I need work on that. We're gonna work on that. It's exactly what we're doing. We've got the floor presses now. This is the last couple of movements here. So Martha Stewart, we're nearly there, mate. Nearly there. If you did pick up a heavier weight for this last set, continue on with it. Otherwise, laying down in this mat here, again, an asymmetrical bench press, my favorite, because it challenges all sorts. Feet up so we can get some balance in. There's some extra core rotation. Trying to remember to keep my wrists straight. Forearm to knuckles, straight line. Don't let the triceps touch the floor. I feel this just as much down here as I do up here. It's a really interesting cross-body activation. Because down here, you've got the chest, you've got the tricep on the right-hand side, but then you've got the left-hand side of your core to stop you from rotating across, right? Sit up straight when you're changing sides, especially with a heavier weight. Grasping it close to the chest, sitting back with it, okay? We're not gonna reach back behind us. We wanna make sure the weight is in front of us as we sit back. Okay, here we go. Out to the side, prep it. This one is tough, not gonna lie. 16 kilo asymmetrical press. And using two hands, pop it on the floor, sit up, shake off those wrists, shake off those shoulders. Well done. The belly balloon is visibly deep. You see that? You see the belly puffing up just in order to hold it there? 100% that's what you want to do. So team, thank you so much for joining me. If you've got any questions about that, which I expect a lot of people will have questions, a kettlebell can be intimidating. There's so many different, little cues in that. Beardy, how you going, mate? It's great to see you. So many different cues using just a kettlebell to get those fundamental movements down. We're gonna get back into it tomorrow. So if you're here on YouTube watching me, check out the next green one. We're gonna get a little bit more into some more of those fundamentals of kettlebells. We're also gonna do 2 blue ones, intermediates, and then we're gonna do a purple advanced level workout where we string kettlebells into a flow, where we take what we've learned in the first few lessons, turn them into a flow, really do start to engage all of the muscles, all the stability, and then increase our heart rate as well. So this is where you can have a lot of fun with a kettlebell. So thanks for joining me here. If you want to chat with us live like I've been chatting to people here, twitch.tv/fit for purpose. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video.